Oh, cool. Actually, that's a good point. Uh, yeah. Okay. So basically, I've, as everyone, I'm sure everyone knows that this is Qualoo's launch week, and it's kind of insane, insane for us. I haven't really had a lot of time or any time at all really to prepare, and I was thinking of making a presentation, but on the other hand, sometimes when people present, I see that sometimes people disconnect. They just start reading the slides and not really listening. So I was a bit torn as to should I make the effort and make the slides. So I just wrote a little summary in a normal Word format or a normal document, to at least keep my ideas as to what I wanted to tell you guys or talk to you guys about. But I was hesitating if I should even share that, and I think I'm going to start not sharing it, just talking about it, and then thankfully you guys are now looking really cool with your cameras and lovely backgrounds. uh, and all fully focused here. So maybe it's better that we see our faces and talk about it. And if you guys want it at some point, I can display it or even share it for people to have some notes about it afterwards. Because I also find it's good that people take notes, but not good that people are writing so much that then they miss some bits and pieces. So nothing, it's very difficult to find the optimal recipe. So we can just test, and this is part of an example of how, one of the most important things is to find the right product market fit. And as I'm going to explain in a moment, it comes a lot to trial and error and iterating and getting feedback and finding out. So we're going to try one way and you guys give me feedback. If you like it, we continue. If not, we change it and then you give me more feedback and so on and so forth, right? So cool. So I already told you about myself. I don't think you want to hear more about myself as well. but if I'm wrong, let me know. I guess you already know my varied background, originally very technical, then more commercial, and I've had a couple companies myself, and then I've helped a lot of startups as well. So just in a really super quick summary, that's a little bit about myself. And then on the experience of the telecom side is when my main co-founder Keith and I decided to do this in a different way, and that's why we decided to start Qualoo, which has been our really main and practically only focus in the last year or over a year already. So, any question here before I get into the nitty-gritty of things? No? I guess quietness means no questions. So I thought, given the subject, I thought, from idea to company, building products, finding customers, and making it work is more like how I thought of making this the subject for this meeting. And so I wanted to go a bit to the point, which is what makes a successful product business model, or what makes a product business model successful. And I would summarize it in kind of four pillars. The first one is, the solution to the problem. You need to find the problem and find the solution. It's very typical that we have an idea and it's like, oh, this would be great to do this. Oh, I love this. And then they start evolving, building into working into their bit of tech or their idea, and then they're trying to find customers for that idea. rather than finding a problem and then getting into what the solution to that problem is. What's the problem? How do I fix it? What's the optimal way to fix it? Find a pain point. That's the key, and I'd say many of us have always, how many ideas have we had? It's yeah, it's not just about having an idea, it's about fixing a problem. And the closer you get to people's feelings, the better. You need to impact them, right? So so yeah, it's kind of like a trap that we need to avoid. A friend of mine used to tell me, yeah, that's a great idea, but you know what, like 10 of your neighbors have the same idea. Then you need to actually do something about it. It's not just finding a problem, finding the solution to the problem, it's actually doing something about it, right? So it's but I'm not going to jump ahead. So basically, the example of this problem is like when Qualoo started, we didn't just say, oh, let's build a deepin project, which actually the word deepin didn't even exist at the time when we devised the idea of doing everything in different devices all over the world and put the power into people's hands, right? So we saw the problems in operators by going to our clients and our customers and seeing that there was no easy way to fix them and definitely no way to escalate it. Then is how we came up with the solution, right? And then started developing the solution and iterating by testing it and doing a first version, a POC, a proof of concept, and then we try it, then we see the result, we try again, and so on. So for Web3 founders, again, identify a pain point that your users can't ignore, something that really affects them. So if I stop building tomorrow, who would care and why? Would someone care if you stop doing your solution to them? So something that would be actionable for yourselves before you start actually building anything is write down what your users, your normal users, what their everyday life is like without your solution, and how your product changes it. What's your impact really? And as I was saying, if you affect them in something that's their feelings, how it makes them feel, then you're on for a winner, right? So I'd say, in a quick way, this would be the first pillar. I don't know if there are any questions up to this point. No, I think I'm going to start asking you guys questions.
I do have a question, and yeah. So I have a question on the proof of concept and how exactly you came up with one for Qualoo
Okay.
before, investing probably too much resources in it.
Yeah, so we made it took several steps. I've summarized it in a very short way, but you're right, it wasn't easy. It took several steps. We first looked for some product that was existing that we could adapt to, including some for us to modify that technology so that it would adapt to us. So there was a German product, and it was actually a pain to use. It was complicated, and then we had to change the software, and it was expensive to use. But just that little usage proved that our idea was on the right track and it could go a long way. So then we had to make another version of how to reuse that. So we still reuse something similar with another kind of layer of software from us. And then the next, which again proved that we were on the right track. And then the next version was to do a really simple app in which we wouldn't really worry too much about the user interface, but about what it did. And that proved even better And actually we developed that POC even more than we should have, because as I'll explain now, getting fast out there, showing your product, making your product available as soon as possible is also quick. It's also important because particularly nowadays, it's just the speed at which technology is developed is crazy. So you need to be first to market in your, amongst your potential competition. So first to market is good. The first one out there already has advantage. So that original proof of concept, we didn't show people because we didn't show really what it looked like too much, because it wasn't very pretty, that original first step. But at least we saw that the data we were collecting amongst friends, you can use your friends, but that's also tricky because all your friends are going to tell you they love it. So you also have to be careful how much of that you use. All your friends are, yeah, yeah, it's fantastic. Okay, that's good for a first iteration. But then you need to actually prove, would someone would be the typical customer really use it, and then the next step, which is super important, is would they pay for it? And then the other step forward is how much would they pay for it? All these things are super important because many times, yes, if you give it to them for free, they use it, they like it. But if you take it away, well, they couldn't really be bothered too much. And therefore, if you're asking them for money, that's always a difficult thing. Even if it's a cent, the fact that they have to do something in which you're already having to charge them, give you a credit card, a wallet, or whatever already, whatever the amount is definitely a potential issue, right? A friction point. But then when you've got them convinced that they would pay something for it, how much are they going to pay for it? It's another key part of the equation. I don't know if this is answering your question. I just talked too much.
Yeah, yeah, I guess you covered pretty much. It seems like a trial and error almost before you kind of come up with the
Absolutely, it
correct.
really is. So it really is. You have to think, well, okay, what I mean, it's so typical that we come up with the idea first. It's just many times it's unavoidable. But okay, fair enough. You have an idea. Let's see, is it really solving a problem? That's key. Is it really solving a problem that it affects people? That is like, Qualoo is internet. But even that is not that obvious because many people think, well, I have internet, I can just get internet. And they take it for granted. Mind you, right on the critical moment when you have a job interview, I had a job interview once that was a super high up role. I had gone through 5 interviews already. I had gone through all of them. It was the last one between another guy and me. And as I'm in the middle of this, and they gave me something. It was like a super difficult project that I had to, in 24 hours, I had to give them the solution and present it. So I had not sleep. I'm there presenting this amazing thing I had done all night working. And as I'm barely starting, blackout on the internet. And it's like, you've got to be kidding me. I thought it was them because when you're presenting, you still see yourself locally, your computer is working, but they froze. And I was so focused, for a few seconds, I was still, and then it's like, oh no, yeah, is everyone, can you see me? Can you hear me? Whatever. Nothing. A few more seconds went by. It was like every second felt like forever. And then it's like, shoot, sugar. There is no internet. And I start checking. It's like impossible. I had super amazing internet. And I mean, it took very few minutes. By the time I realized it was the internet, I got up quickly, reset the router. It just wouldn't sync. Red light on. I tried everything, put mobile data on, tried to get back. I mean, it was barely 5 minutes by the time I was back online. The main CEO had left already, and two other guys had already left. And they said, well, okay, sorry, thank you very much. But that was it. And then I found that some idiot was actually installing internet from some other neighbor in there, and they actually cut off my connection by mistake. But Murphy's Law, something can go wrong, it will go wrong, so prepare for it. But the point what I was getting to is that people take the internet for granted, and particularly if it's a developed country, and it's no way that is true. We had calls in London being dropped, mobile data connections on video calls and video totally frozen, and in London and to the US. And it's not a first world country, it's not a first world problem. It is a problem, full stop. And we're going online for everything. So even something as basic as the internet, some people take it for granted, and it's not. So my point again is that yes, you need to find a pain point, something that you're going to solve that really is a problem that they are finding. And your solution has to be super amazing in the sense that once they're used to it, it has to be really easy for them to use it. And once they're using it, if you take it away, they'll be like, no, no, I want it. That's super important. You have to make it so that removing it is difficult. And and if we have more sessions, I'll go in more detail as to how to create ways in which it's difficult for them to stop using yours. I mean, it's typical in accounting, for example, an accounting piece of software. It takes you a while to choose it because you want it to help you in so many ways. But once you integrate yourself with your accounting system and you're using it, my goodness, changing is a nightmare. It's like, no, I have to actually take all this data from here and migrate it to the next one. So that's why many of these accounting pieces of software actually don't make it easy to transfer data to another in a format that is easily readable from another one, because they just want you to stay with it. It's another frictional point to avoid churn, avoid losing customers, right? So yes, you have to ensure that your idea does solve a problem. And then it's also finding the right clients. So trial and error is absolutely the way. And because you're going to try and you're going to invest time in that, that's why your proof of concept has to be as simple as possible. So back to Qualoo, that original proof of concept that proved the app that was a little bit more evolved than the first one that was super ugly, that we made it prettier and so on, and that proved that it was good. So when we started developing it, we actually developed a lot more. In fact, we still haven't launched like even half of what we had developed there. Because then we decided, okay, rather than ensuring that all of this big thing works perfectly, that the entire software doesn't crash, that the experience is amazing, then we hired some UI UX designers who are really good. It's like, okay, let's make it look really pretty. So I hired 3 in parallel because I didn't have time. I wanted to do it as quickly as possible. 3 in parallel, and we just chose the best one. And luckily, it was unanimous. Everybody chose the same one. And we just launched a very simple version of everything we had developed, which is, okay, let's just focus on what is our core. Okay, our core is that we're testing. Okay, we're testing in this way. All this complicated thing of testing, we're not going to show people too much feedback as to what they do, because then we lose them. I mean, in our proof of concept, we had lots of information coming out as to everything that was going on, which would drive anyone insane. So it's like, okay, we don't show any of this. We just put very simple lines to give people a quick insight as to, is their internet connection good? Are there different regions connecting good? Just something simple. And we showed that and people liked it. So it's like, okay, well, next version. And now we're launching another version. People were asking, well, I want to, if I'm mapping, I want to see what I'm mapping. Okay, so we just, even the mapping, we had a very complex way in which you're showing the mapping and you're showing the quality in each place, and it was becoming too complex. So it's like, okay, well, it's simplified. We're not showing you just simply where you were and whether you were on mobile or fixed line or both. So mobile is light blue, uh, fixed is dark blue, and if not, it's pink. Is both together. So just something really simple. And everybody who's been trying it on our internal testing on our VIP list. So we have a shorter list of first of all is your friends and family and your team, and then is closer, people who are supporting the project. Some of you guys here are probably in there, and if you're not, you can just send me a message and I'll add you. But then we have really good feedback from people who are actually using it, who are friendly to you. So if you mess up, it's not totally embarrassing in front of the entire world, but it allows you to then fix, iterate again. And once you have feedback from enough people, and this is all a balance, and I'm quite a perfectionist. So it's very difficult for me to just say, okay, let's go for it. So I understand your concern on that front, but you gotta iterate, you gotta show it. And then the test is, would you pay for it? That's the other big one. Sorry, I don't know if I'm way too long on this, but anyway.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for that.
All right.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like you might have a solution, but then are people really, are you solving a big enough problem for people to actually spend something on it, you know? So
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, is it that big of a problem?
Yeah. And sometimes it's the angle you give it. It's again on this internet problem thing, is that people are, well, it's another reason why we did it. Many times the operators like, oh, the internet is not going well. So you call your operator, your internet ISP, internet service provider, and you say, it's going slowly, it's cutting out, and they say, oh, it's because your plan is just too low. You just have the basic plan. If you pay more, then it'll go better. Rather than fixing it, many times, and actually, unfortunately, most of the time, it's actually there's an issue, and they're not fixing it. So if you have congestion, you have a bad line, you have something that's not good, they just ask you to pay more, and then they just give you a bit more resources. And it's an easy way to say, well, okay, well, if now we're giving you a bit more, your experience would be less bad, but they're not fixing the problem, right? And most of the times you didn't need to spend more money. And we don't like when unfairness. We just trying to make but it's a tough world out there. But we are all for being fair and doing things right. Fortunately, it's not usually the case. So you gotta build a thick skin, right, and ensure that things don't affect you that much. But when they do, just do something about it. So I don't remember what your solution was. What were you thinking, if I may ask? What was uh your project or
Well,
your
yeah, I don't have a project here. I'm the communications lead, but basically I've interacted with all the projects here, and they're all at different stages. And I'm actively trying to figure out the best branding strategy and to help out with the founders. So yeah, it's
okay?
basically.
Okay, good. You'll end up doing your own project. That's going to be amazing. I can see it.
Thank you. I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
she's a builder. Yeah, she's a builder, so definitely.
There you go. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll go on to the next pillar. So don't get stuck on this one, but it's totally related. So the next pillar is know your real customer. It's following up on what we were talking about. And you need to ensure you also understand, particularly in Web3, is key, is what's supply and demand. And we need to understand the difference between supply and demand, and and user and paying customer, right? Many times, sometimes in Web3, the user is the paying customers, many times it's not. So we need to differentiate that, generally speaking, but particularly in Web3. So basically, and I guess I'm going to use Qualoo's analogy again just to show example and do both in one. But so a user here is just someone who's using the app. Okay, so we created an app. The app is doing testing. What's the utility? What's the point of this? What is the use? The use is we're testing to find out where the issues are on the internet, so that then we can find them, fix them easily. We are actually the internet service providers. So the real paying customer is most times going to be the ISP, the operator, or even companies wanting data as to, what are the best operators, whatever information, or add data, all of these different, which is another thing. We created a source fixing one problem. Our idea was we need to fix the internet. And by doing this, we're finding out that there are actually many verticals that we can feed off of. So there are more clients than we thought at first. And that's actually also something good for you guys to think about. So basically, the supply is how we're getting what we're going to be selling, right? So in this case, all the users that are using the app and they're testing their supply, they're using the app and they're not paying. Not only they're not paying, they're getting paid because they're getting points now. It'll be crypto eventually. It'll be the points also be redeemable for vouchers for things in the real world, right? So they're being rewarded. So in fact, they're costing in a way, right? But the demand side is who wants our solution, which the operators that need to fix the internet in an affordable way, in a cheap way. We provide them the insights, tell them, okay, there's an issue here, there's a problem there's a congestion, there's whatever the issue is. And we offer a very affordable way, because once we've created all this humongous network and we're automatically testing the entire world, we are creating a live view of what's really happening, and we can find out things that they've never found before. I mean, as we've proven in all our consultancy gigs, as we call them. So then if you're, but the next point that I was getting to is if you're good at it, or if your solution enables it, you can also find other ways to monetize it. So your users can also become your paying customers if you find a use for them. So all our users want to know, what's your internet like? What's the best operator? Should I change the operator? Is my internet at home working well? Can I fix it? Because many times the internet maybe getting to you is okay. Not many times, but sometimes it's okay getting to your home, but you haven't been able to set up because you just simply don't have knowledge, and operators usually don't worry too much about setting up the routers or routers, if you speak the American with an American accent. They don't usually care, and they just give you one, even send it on the mail, or the guy just plugs it in, and just very basic setup. And sometimes maybe your Wi-Fi doesn't reach everywhere in the house, or the port. There's some settings that may not be right. So many users actually want us to help them setting that up. So the users, which are the supply, can also become the demand if we have like a premium version of the app. Okay, so I want a premium version. We're mapping where you're at, so we'll be able to offer you a way to know who the best operator is for the places where you're moving at, because you may not care, who the best operator is in the entire Kenya, but you may want to know, if I'm in Mombasa, in this actually neighborhood within Mombasa, or Nairobi and this other place, or whatever it is that I am, or actually I'm in the country and there are actually no operators, or there are only two that are actually terrible, both of them. So the point is that the app automatically can, because it's been mapping, if you've allowed it to map, then it would be able to create an insight for you to tell you for the areas where you're usually mapping, where you're usually located, then this would be your best operator of the existing ones as we are, without changing anything on the internet. So that would be something premium that a user, who is now a part of the supply, can also become demand. And you can get from your users, you can also monetize that. It's very important because finding enough users, finding enough people paying is difficult. So the more ways that you find to monetize your technology, the better, right? I don't know if I'm, if people are with me. I don't know. For our DeFi founder, users trade, customers might be institutional liquidity providers. I don't know, dev tools. So if you created a development tool, your customers could be the developers, companies paying for the APIs or software as a service, this type of thing. Is everyone on board more or less with this? I think this would be a really good exercise for you all. It's tempting to do it here, but because there's not a lot of time, it could be for another time or just for yourselves. You just get 2 columns: users, customers. Who are my users? Who are my customers? And that's a second part. The first part is what we were talking about before on pillar 1. What is the problem I'm solving? What's the pain point I'm solving? Am I solving it right? So get the product market fit, get your right customers and users. These are the exercises that I would put to myself as an entrepreneur after this conversation today, right?
Yeah, Eduardo, I have a quick question. So I guess you're talking about how diverse a product is or how versatile it can be. And what I see in the space is that you have, maybe someone is building a wallet or they're doing a cross-border payment, and then next thing you know, maybe they're incorporating another feature in another feature
Yeah, that's
because anything is possible. Is there a danger as to just how wild you go, or do you think there should be
yeah.
maybe
Okay,
try to narrow down,
good
like
question.
have the product should have like some kind of identity?
Right. So it's a very good question, because by all means, it's so common as well for us to start getting ideas and more ideas and great crazy ideas, and sometimes crazy, sometimes realistic, but too many. And then you spread too thin. And that's again back to the example. I think Qualoo is a good example because it's just, it touches on all these points. That's why I was telling you guys we started developing so much. And we had to stop ourselves. It's like, okay, we're developing just how much? And it's important for us, for everyone, to learn from our mistakes. We all make mistakes, and we can't take it as, oh, it's a mistake, oh my gosh, that's terrible. No, it's just another learning phase. It's just we learn, and the key part is that we don't do things the same way. If we want things to work out differently, we need to do things differently, right? um, so so then we stopped ourselves at investing too much time in developing too many things. Our conclusion was, yes, these features, we think people are going to love them, they'll want them. But to actually make them all right and perfect was going to be too long. So let's go back to our core. So Sochi was saying is focus on something. But as you're making that iteration and it's positive feedback, then it's good to expand up to a point, but you need to find differentiators. Because if you remember the first day I was talking about red and blue oceans. So, sorry. Basically, I know Web3 sounds like a blue ocean because it's very new, but the reality is that wallets are already kind of reddish. There are already a lot of people on this space, and there are a lot of people doing similar things. So we need to differentiate ourselves. So let's ensure that our core is done well. And then, yeah, let's think about how are we doing things also differently. Are we, ideally, you're targeting a niche that it's just you. It's better to have a small niche and a large percentage of that small niche. Of course, numbers have to work out. So you need to, you need to do the numbers, sum, all of these things, which I'm sure you know about, but addressable markets and all that stuff. But ultimately, it's better to have less clients, give them a really good experience and do something super cool for them, because then you'll be the leader in that niche, than doing something for a humongous amount of people and then you're having to fight in that red ocean. And then it's really difficult to differentiate yourself, right? So because at the end of the day, then someone with a lot of money and a lot of marketing, a big marketing, I don't know, machine in there will get the attention, because a lot of marketing is key in Web3 even more so. It's all about not who makes the most noise and who's loudest out there, and that's not the right way. The right way is who's doing the best thing, who's doing it better, and who is doing it for the right reasons, right? So yeah, very good point, Ochi, in there. It's a bit of both, as I'm just saying. Any more questions about this? Any more clarity needed on this point? No. So then I'll talk about the next pillar. I mean, if any questions at the end, if we have any time, we can get them. But at least if I can talk about all the 4 pillars, it'll be a good place for today's session. So basically, revenue models. How do you monetize that? How do you charge for them? One of the things we were talking about is it's not just that they like it and they want to use it, is that they like it so much that they're prepared to pay for it. So common models are, of course, subscription models. Something that you get a low fee, it has to be conceived as a low fee. Basically, what they get for it needs to make sense. So it's the great thing about subscription models is that you can predict your input, you can project financial models easily for investors and for yourself. How much money am I going to be getting? And it's good to try to lock them in. A typical way is to say, okay, well, the longer the commitment to the subscription period, the lower the price. So if you're just doing a month, I charge you 100, but if you're doing a year, the month would be 50 rather than 100, for example. And if you do 2 years, then it'll be, I don't know, whatever, a bit less, 30. So these are numbers, you have to do it, but typical software as a service model is on a subscription model. Or pay per use. This the other thing is pay per use. Okay, well, it depends on what you're selling. If you're an API, it could be per call, per whatever amount you've set, per transaction. It could be pay per use, a typical way as well. But you can also do bulk. Okay, you can pay me. It'll be cheaper if you per 100 transactions, per 1,000 transactions. You can just do kind of that type of pricing as well, right? Token incentives, token with revenue, that's tricky one. It's a tricky one because the token economy is very tricky, but again, it depends on what you're doing. And then affiliate partners, commissions, that's also important. You can to increase sales to use someone else, and it's an intermediary, so it's an extra expense there for you, but you can get to more people. So it's also an important way of selling and charging for things. Again, it depends on what you're selling and who your clients are, your target clients. But these are some of the ways. Of course, subscription SAS, software as a service, is one of the leading ways. But if many of you are doing transactions, you may choose that. But again, what is your client or your competition doing? You always have to watch your competition. What are they doing? How are they doing? And how well are they doing with that solution? Do you want to copy it, or do you want to copy and do exactly the same thing? At first thought, it's not ideal, but it's not necessarily bad if your customer service is great, if your solution is really good, if that works, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. However, I always like to differentiate myself. So maybe you can still charge in the same way, but do something else. And it's not just about a better pricing. I know pricing is very important, but I always strive to differentiate myself in other ways. Customer experience is key, is one of the things. If you create a connection with that client somehow, it's a lot more difficult. The customer will become more loyal. It's a lot more difficult for that customer to churn. You guys understand the concept churning, right? Churn is a client that leaves, basically. So it's one of the typical KPIs in finance for these types. For anyway, it's definitely used in telecoms a lot. Your churn rate, how many people leave, percentage of people leaving, and so on. So if you increase your loyalty, you reduce your churn. That's super important, you know. So in Qualoo, we have examples as well. You know, I always think it's as I was saying, it's just such a good example because so we have, for example, sales of insights as to, for example, the telecoms.com or some magazines, online magazines, people that want data, which are the best operators, where, what, I don't know how many clients, whatever it is, just data information. So we can just sell that as data sales, as you know, dashboards. So it can just be okay, you get 4 a month, so you charge 4 a month for that. But that's one of the ways. The subscription model, software as a service, particularly for operators, they get certain dashboards. The dashboards are built for them to be seeing when they log into their account real time what's happening in their network and in the it depends on what they've subscribed to. So we have like a drop down. Okay, I want to see my performance in this area, my performance in that area. I want to see my competition. So that's one of the things we offer that nobody else can offer. It's like we know everyone in the country, everyone in your region, everyone in the world. So who else do you want to see there to compare to yourselves? And then it's all like drop down menu, select this, and then it all adds to different bits and pieces that add up to your dashboard. And then it's a monthly bill depending on the subscription model or the commitment you've come to and the amount of things you've chosen, right? But that's different from the example for whoever wants to sell data in a different way, but we still adapt to the clients of the needs of the clients, and however is easy for them. Okay, again, I've made it a little bit too long, but they're very important. They're very important points. That's why I'm going on about them, because you need to get them right. You know, build technology costs you a lot of money. You need to, most times we all put all our savings into it, friends and family helping with it, which actually gonna talk about the financing. That's the pillar 4 is financing the journey. How do you do it? And that's the point. So usually you believe in your thing, whatever you've saved up, you're gonna put it in there. Just the fact that you're not working on something else, if you're full-time on it, if you really believe in it and you're full-time, which is probably wise to start whilst you still have another source of income. But if you're giving it all, just the fact that you're not earning money is also costing you, right? It's also another cost. So bootstrapping, this was usually called when you're self-funding yourself. Friends and family, we like to say friends and family. Typically they call it FFF, friends, family, and fools. Friends, fools, and family. So yeah, who's the fool is gonna fund me in my early stage, right? But these people are close to you, and you want to ensure that it's successful because you don't want to fail them. You don't want to fail yourself, but you really don't want to fail your friends and family. So that's why you need to get all of this stuff, that all these other three pillars that I've talked about, you need to get them right, so that you you build right and you monetize the technology you've been building, right? You've differentiated yourself, you've created the right product, right market fit, right clients, right way to charge, right amount to charge. And even if you're getting everything right, you still need funding to grow faster as well. You know, we all prefer to start charging and just letting it grow organically. But if you have some funding, then you can invest more in marketing, in sales, in even in evolving your tech faster and better. So in Web3, it's very important to use grants. There are many grants in Web3, and it's something that we need to try and maximize. Look well, because there are lots of ecosystem funds, I don't know, hackathons, competitions. There are some platforms for, startups. There are lots of things. And then is the typical, funding, pre-seed, seed rounds early on. Then you go to A, but that's already later, And within Africa, specifically Web3 ecosystems, Ethereum Foundation, Solana, Polygon, and all of them, they all have grants and ecosystems that they may fund you at first, or these competitions they do as well. And also find other partners, other people, like in African projects, Google for Startups Africa, Binance Labs, and Cello, I think it's called. They're definitely places you need to do your own homework. I'm fine, but basically there are many ways in which you can find some sort of funding on your early stage. It's important to also raise the right amount. Some companies raise too much and it actually becomes a problem afterwards, believe it or not. But you definitely need to raise at least enough. So, okay, we're running out of time. I don't know.
Collins has a question. You've had your hand raised.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. Sorry.
Yeah, so just a quick one. Thank you for the content. On revenue, is it, from your experience, is it better or preferred to start high then reduce, or start low then increase in terms of the costing that your customers and the users are paying?
The pricing.
Yes.
That's another excellent question. That's a very good question. So whether you start your high price and then, very good. So okay, there are some tricks that I believe work. So it's all about perception. You need to perceive you get in a bargain. So if I'm telling you it costs 1,000, but I'm giving it to you for 100 because you're my first client, you're going to be super happy, and you're actually not even going to haggle or bargain or anything. But if I'm telling you, I don't know, if I'm telling you 100 from the word go without any other explanation, you're probably going to find it difficult, because you're going to start trying to do numbers. So how you position, so it's three things. Okay. So perception is the absolute top, but the numbers have to also work. What's your benefit to this client? At the end of the day, if you're just doing wallet type of or transactions, then pricing is really key and it becomes more difficult. But when you're doing something, that's another important thing, is to get the perception that you're getting more, you bundle things. So maybe if you differentiate yourself by saying, okay, well, I don't remember what your project was about. Was it transaction for you or?
Yeah, transaction.
Okay, I still want it to be good for everyone, but if I differentiate myself by enabling something else, maybe it is a customer support direct line. Okay, you have a 24 hours direct line. You can shoot me an email on Telegram, or you have I don't know, there's something else that you're giving them. Then it's another kind of excuse to have a price that could be a little bit higher. But the base question that you had, it's always easier to lower the price is very difficult to increase it. Very, very difficult. If you start at X rate and then you say, well, as I'm growing, I need to make it more expensive, that's going to be key. Unless you've done it with this key that I was saying, but the price is 1,000, but I'm giving it to you for 100 because you're one of the first term, or just for the first 2 months, I'm going to give you a starting price. So then that's the way to lower it, but your value is still up there. The message is super important. Okay.
Okay. So start high because it's easier to go low in terms of pricing than starting low then going.
So, but this is the difference. One is, what is the price? So the price is 1,000 in this supposed example. The price is 1,000, but how much are you charging? Well, I'm actually going to charge you 100. So you're actually giving them a discounted rate. So you're actually starting lower because it's difficult to start. So you're right. You need to lower the price somehow. But if you say that the price is 100, they'll say, no, I want 50. But if you say, well, you know what? No, but it's worth 1,000. So it's 100. Obviously, it's not as easy as just this. You need to work it out. But if you make sense and you say, my standard pricing is this, and I'm giving you an offer, particularly, you know what? It's really good if you say, for the first 3 months, or even do a bit that's free. I don't like to give things for free, to be honest, because people already lose the feel of the value for what you're giving them. So I really don't like that, but it depends on what it is. But I do like giving an offer to say, okay, well, actually, if you commit to a year, rather than if it's the price is 1,000 and it's 1,000 a month instead of 12,000, then the first 3 months are free, so it's only 9,000, right? Give the perception that they're getting a bargain and it's a steal, and actually do it quickly because this is just an offer this week. Next week it'll be back to the normal price, and the entire year will cost you 12,000. All these things are super important. Yeah, good question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I know, like Namecheap.com. I use Namecheap, and they always get me with that. So the domain goes, they show you the price is this much, and then they're giving it to you for half price, and you renew it at the end of 1 year for now the original price, and it works every time. Like, I recommend people to buy domains every time.
Yeah.
But then once you're in, so this is what you're talking about, the value, right? I mean, once you have your company domain name on a certain platform, you're really not going to try to change it or move it on and stuff. So they hook you with the price and then lock the value. And,
Yeah. So I'd say already past the hour. I'm okay to stay a bit longer, so don't worry about me. If you guys need to go, then let me know. But if it's okay to just for a few more minutes, then I'll say kind of key takeaways from this, or key tips that I would give is it's fast, getting to market quickly is important, but do it right. Think really well. Are you fixing a problem? Are you, product market fit? Am I fixing a problem? So iteration beats perfection. And I say that with caution because some people are too clumsy, and just be elegant, do things well enough. Like, we did a really nice user interface. It wasn't really that expensive, but it makes a big difference. People love it. You need to get to the people's feelings as well. So maybe the software is not perfect. Maybe it does fail here and there. Just say that it's a beta version, but you want to ensure that it's fit for them and they like it. Just be honest about it, but elegant, you know, be good. Have pride in what you're doing, basically, you know. Do it small iterations and be fast. That's one key takeaway. Partnerships, multipliers, basically through basically a platform. IoTex helped us a lot. Arcanum Ventures, you know, just some people that they believe in you. Ensure that you have nice friends who are good, who are worthy of you, and who will put in a good word and help you amplify what your message, what you're doing, right? And a very important thing is the story sells before the product. I mean, if you need to get to their hearts, to their souls, you need to make them passionate about what you're doing, right? So that's super important. So mission-driven narrative makes people join you. That's super important. And another thing is kind of data beats opinion. It's kind of, it's very typical that, you know, in your social media, you got someone who's complaining and that person is loud. But actually, maybe you have a ton of other users who are actually enjoying it and they're not loud. And then some people change things because this one is complaining. Try to be cold-minded and analyze the data. Really ask, you know, do surveys or just get feedback from as many people as you can. True feedback, not just the one shouting. Of course, if someone is shouting, someone just try to fix it. But get real information about how well you're doing, you know, analytics, data analytics in your website, in everything you do, you know, on your app. Track everything. And that is also good for you to do the right thing and also to convince investors and partners. I'm not just making things up. This is real data. This is what's really happening, right? And yeah, the community, you know, marketing is super important. You know, again, transmit the right feelings, get the right people to push you, be honest, have a good cause, don't do things for money. I always say, so many people, I told Ochi the other day, so many people are just, oh, because it buys me freedom. I'm a company entrepreneur. And no, actually that's your freedom is lost forever. I mean, when you're an entrepreneur, you're working all day, all night, just forget it. There's nothing else you're going to be doing the rest of your life. Your baby is your project and you've got to love it. So make sure you're doing this because you really love it, because you really like it, because your baby, the project, and your clients, your customers are going to be your bosses and your main worry. So forget about your freedom. It's tough. The company will need to, there's always something. If it's small, because you need to make it grow, because you need to make it profitable, then because you need to, you know, investors, you need to account to them. As it's growing, the more it grows, the more you can lose. So there are always worries. Don't go into this for the money. And if you're doing the right thing, money will come along. So I guess that's kind of my finishing point before, you know, you can have any more questions, you know. Do it for the right reasons and do it, you know, with your heart in it, and work hard. You know, Elon Musk, what a guy, was just working day and night. He was coding at night because he only had the computer, and the computer was the server to do it during the day. It was serving during the night. He was coding, and he was a bit crazy, and he's continued his entire life. He's a great example. He's multi-billionaire and still working his butt off. So don't ever think that this is going to be an easy journey. So I think that's it. I don't know if you have any more questions or comments or anything that you want to say.
Well, thanks for that, Eduardo. Before the questions, I just wanted us to take like a group photo before the guys turn off their cameras again. So
Oh, let
you
me take
can
my glasses off. Let me.
yeah, so look cute. Got it. You guys look nice. Thanks for that.
Well, you better send that to all of us.
Yeah, I'm gonna tag
Gideon,
everyone.
Gideon just woke up like, huh? What's there?
Someone was like that.
No, Gideon.
Oh,
This was the first time we
Yeah.
saw Johnston. Hi, Johnston. Yeah.
Oh, hi.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I removed. Hold on. I removed non-video participants so I don't get distracted. But oh, I only have Pablo. Is he still driving? No, you made it. You
Oh,
were shy.
you went
He's
quiet for a
sneaky.
second.
He's
Yeah,
he's very
Wasuka,
sneaky.
I think
Sorry.
Sneaky, isn't
we
it?
should
He's
retake it.
sneaky.
We should
Yeah,
retake
maybe.
that picture.
Yeah, maybe he was just parking his car, and the whole time you think he's on a highway somewhere.
Yeah. Exactly. Just jumping and
It's
sneaky.
a sneaky guy, man.
Sorry, guys.
Anyway.
So we check another photo.
Okay, let's do a photo with Pablo. Hold on, let me get it ready again.
Yeah.
How you doing? Yeah, cheese.
Rosie, did you take it?
That was fun.
Or Washika, did you take it already?
Let me take it again, guys. One more time. So
Yeah, 100%. Everyone, this is once in a lifetime. So
awesome.
Awesome.
done.
Yes. So thank you,
Perfect.
Eduardo. Thank you very much. This second part was a good close to what you started. And we just need to notify we have demo day. This end of September, we'll communicate the date for you to you. Then we'd be happy to have you join us as the 9 teams, take us through what they've built and they pitch before some investors.
Good.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys want more sessions, I'll be more than happy. We can go in more detail here. Finding product market fit is complex, so there's a lot more in there, and selling, and it's all of this subject has a lot more in depth about them, but there are many other subjects. So I'm definitely willing to help you guys in whichever way I can. So absolutely. Even though we're in launch week, I made it. So so imagine.
Oh yeah, how's that going?
Well, it's good. It's complex. We've had to also upgrade the servers and everything, so we've had to have a little downtime. It was an hour, but still, any downtime is tricky. It was actually less than an hour, but yeah, it's just planning the marketing like a countdown, but then you don't know exactly what the countdown is because also, Google Play, it doesn't tell you, don't know exactly when they're going to accept it because you finish building, you finish the development, you tell Google Play, hey, it's ready, and then they have to go through their assessment, and then they ask you questions sometimes. You don't know exactly. Sometimes it's a few hours, sometimes it's days before it's published. And we've been so quiet for so many months, and marketing in general, it's alive, you need to move it. But if in Web3 even more so if you're quiet for just a few weeks, it's dead. If it's been a few months, it's terrible. But we really wanted to ensure that all the management of all the data, we're getting gigantic amount of data. We wanted to have everything automated nicely on all the back end, everything working as well as possible. And then all these insights that are so complex to obtain and analyze, we want them to be built in an automated way, in the right way. So all the dashboards, everything is done automatically. Building our own AI into this to analyze and even predict issues before. So there's a lot going on. And we basically didn't want to grow the user base too much at first. Who's I don't know. It's very loud at something. I don't know, Ochi, if it's it was on your end. Thank you. So basically, all of this has been really tough. Basically, sleeping 2-3 hours a night to get here, but it's really good. The insights are amazing. Every place we've been to, they're loving it. Every professional, even on the telecoms world, is loving our dashboards and what we've created. and we really want to give this part back to our users. So that's why we want to give some more to the users, some more insights that will actually explain to each user a bit more about what their quality is and how they can improve it and things like that. So yes, later this week it should be all available in Google Play, and then iOS, which we've had it working on test flight, as for testers and again these VIP users. Anyone who wants to become a VIP user, just shoot me a message. Cool. Give me your emails, and you can, we're in the group, I think, or if not, Ochi can get us together and I'll add you in. And basically, because this is part of the getting feedback, right? It's super important. So iOS will be, next couple of weeks, roughly. Apple does take longer than Google. It's very complex to get through all that paperwork and all the software analyzed in the right way and all that stuff. But anyway, it's good. It's progressing well. And then we need to focus on investors. It's amazing we're getting attention from investors, and we're not even able to have time to even give them all the financial models and everything they're asking for, because we're so busy wanting to ensure that everything is launched as soon as possible. It's really tricky when you have a small team and there's so much to do. It's another key part of the learning lesson. So you have to be really well organized, and you have to be doing this with really good people you trust, people you work well together. It's all of this is super important to build a startup, to build a company from scratch. It's a long journey, but it's beautiful. So I encourage everyone to do it, for sure. Everyone who is, again, as I was saying, passionate, believes in it, loves it, and is willing to dedicate their all to it. So absolutely. I can't wait to demo day to see you guys, what you're doing. Really can't. So when is it, roughly? Your demo day?
30th September should be 30th September next month, around there.
But what, the 29th, the first, beginning, end, last, middle?
No,
is
it'll be
not-
the 27th. 27th, that'll be a Saturday. 27th of September.
Oh, so it's already set.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, please send me an invitation for sure.
Yeah, so Eduardo, thank you very much for what I consider was a masterclass for me.
Well, thank you
Someone
very much.
who's actually doing this real time. Actually, Eduardo really had to squeeze and move things around to get this session to happen, and it's brilliant. It's better than what I'd even imagined it would be. So I think from our side, I will get you some emails for the VIP accounts for Qualoo. Also, happy to discuss if you'd like to engage maybe our community, maybe have a session on Qualoo, maybe get some testers or something. We'll be happy to have that conversation. Our way of giving back as well. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Very much appreciate it, for sure. Thank you very much. Asante sana.
Karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Eduardo. All the best with the launch. Yeah.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. My pleasure.
All right.
All the
Back
best.
to grinding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back to
I
grinding.
bet. Cheers.
Take care. Bye.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Pleasure.